Today we'll go through pleiotropism. First of all, what is pleiotropism? Now, in pleiotropism, one gene controls more than one character. Generally, as a rule, there is one gene that governs a single character. Usually, there's a single gene that controls or affects or governs only one character. But in this phenomenon, there is one gene or maybe a group of genes that control more than one character. The fact that more than one character is affected is to be noted and remembered. And of course, the genes that are involved in this phenomenon are known to be pleiotropic genes. Now, the underlying mechanism for this particular phenomenon may be that genes that code for a product that is either used by various cells or as a cascade like or a cumulative signaling function that affects many targets. Another important example, or rather, one very important example for pleiotropism would be sickle cell anemia in humans. This sickle cell anemia is an autosomal recessive disorder. Now, considering the normal beta hemoglobin chain in humans, which is described as this. Okay, now this is an amino acid chain, one particular amino acid chain that is known as a beta hemoglobin chain. Let me just note it down. All right. So this is an amino acid chain known as beta hemoglobin chain. Now, these individual units are amino acids. Each has a name. This one goes by valine. This one's leucine. Okay. So it has valine, histidine, leucine, threonine, proline, and glutamic acid. Note that it has glutamic acid in the 6th and the 7th position. Remembering the positioning of this is very, very important, the amino acids. Now, what happens in sickle cell anemia is something called a point mutation. There's a point mutation in the beta chain. This point mutation takes place at the 6th position, whereby the glutamic acid is replaced by valine. We denote it as VAL. And when a particular person is affected by sickle cell anemia, the glutamic acid in the 6th position of his beta hemoglobin chain is replaced by valine, thus giving us a sequence like this. We've got valine, we've got histidine, we've got leucine, threonine, proline, and then we are supposed to have glutamic acid in the 6th and the 7th position. And where we are supposed to have glutamic acid out here, we get valine instead of the usual glutamic acid. And this is how a sickle cell anemia works. Thus, there is a mutation or a change in the 6th position of the beta chain. Okay, so the effects of sickle cell anemia in a particular person includes the structure of hemoglobin changes and the shape of RBC changes, both of these being de- degrading to the human health. Now, when the structure of hemoglobin changes, uh, the hemoglobin is unable to carry sufficient amount of oxygen molecules, and when the shape of RBC changes from biconcave and flat to sickle shape, the oxygen carrying capacity decreases for that particular hemoglobin. Thus, hemoglobin content becomes less. That these two are the most important effects of this particular disease. So, the other effects include the physical efficiency decreases. There's a decrease in the physical efficiency of a person. Muscular activity is decreased, is affected. If other effects include tower skull, dilation of heart failure, poor physical development, impaired mental function, pneumonia, rheumatism, paralysis, kidney damage, and failure. However, this may sound strange, but there is a silver lining to this disease. There's an advantage, and the advantage being that malarial parasites, they cannot survive in sickle-shaped RBC, because affected individuals for this disease, that is malaria, have to have a proper biconcave RBC. And since a person affected by sickle cell anemia has the RBC shape changed entirely, the person is, or rather has, an advantage over the person affected by malaria. Of course, when it comes to denoting this disease, uh, a person having normal hemoglobin will be denoted as such: HbA, HbA. This is a normal gene. However, a person with a sickle cell condition has something like this. This is sickle cell affected. These genes are affected by sickle cells. This gene is affected by sickle cell. I'm sorry. So 50% hemoglobin is normal in this condition. 50% hemoglobin is affected. In this, oxygen supply is reduced. Another case in which both the genes are affected, we denote it as such. In this, both the genes are affected, and all the RBCs are sickle shaped. In this, the individual dies. So this is one example of pleiotropism that is very important. Again, going through, pleiotropism is a condition in which one gene controls more than one character. A very good example of this is sickle cell anemia in human beings, which is an autosomal recessive trait. Out here, the glutamic acid is replaced by valine in the beta hemoglobin chain. This is known as mutation and causes many defects in humans, and most notably the change in the structure of hemoglobin and the change in the shape of RBC. Thank you.